A desperate mission. Zack stood at the edge of the crowd, his heart pounding as he stared up at the massive alien ship descending from the smoky orange sky. Around him, the ragged remains of humanity watched with a mixture of fear and desperate hope. Earth was dying, choked by pollution, and ravaged by war, famine, and plagues. This alien coalition, the Galactic Alliance, was their last chance. As the ship's ramp lowered, a trio of aliens emerged: a hulking reptilian, an elegant blue-skinned humanoid, and a floating jellyfish-like creature. The reptilian raised a clawed hand and addressed the waiting humans. "People of Earth," it rumbled, "we have come to offer a select few of you sanctuary in the stars. But space on our ships is limited. Only those who can prove they have value to offer the Galactic Alliance will be chosen." Zack's mind raced. He was no one special, just a mid-level engineer who had been lucky to survive this long. What could he possibly offer? As if in answer, a human official in a tattered suit stepped forward and began reading names off a list. To Zack's shock, his own name was called. In a daze, he stepped forward, joining the small group of fellow humans, each looking as confused and nervous as he felt. The blue-skinned alien approached and studied them with piercing violet eyes. "You have been selected for your skills and potential," it said, "but this is not a guarantee. You must each complete a trial to prove your worth. Succeed, and you will earn your place in the stars. Fail, and you will be left to perish with your dying world." Zack swallowed hard. What kind of trial could he possibly face? But he squared his shoulders, determined to succeed, for himself and for the doomed billions he would be leaving behind. As he boarded the alien ship, he took one last look at the scorched earth disappearing beneath him. Whatever challenges lay ahead, they had to be better than the certain death he was leaving behind. With a deep breath, he stepped into the unknown. What trial awaits Zack? Can one humble human prove his worth among the stars? The fate of humanity may depend upon it. Arrival on Zephyria. Zack stared out the window of the spacecraft as it descended towards the planet Zephyria. The Galactic Alliance's hub world was a riot of color: swirling turquoise oceans, vast crimson deserts, and the glittering silver of sprawling cities. It was unlike anything he had ever seen. As he disembarked alone into the bustling spaceport, he felt instantly overwhelmed. Towering, crystalline structures rose up around him, and a dizzying array of alien species thronged the walkways. Insectoid workers scuttled by with glowing parcels, while serpentine traders haggled with a group of floating spherical beings. The air hummed with strange music and 1,000 unknowable languages. "Zack Turin," a clipped voice called out. He turned to see a tall, muscular alien striding towards him. She had sleek navy skin, high swept horns, and penetrating amber eyes. Her uniform and bearing screamed military. "Yes, that's me," Zack said, trying to stand straighter under her scrutinizing gaze. "I am Commander Theta, your liaison," she said brusquely. "Follow me." She led him through the dizzying cityscape to a towering structure that seemed grown rather than built, all organic curves and shimmering surfaces. Inside, she ushered him into a sparse but comfortable room. "This is your quarters," Theta said. "Your trial begins tomorrow. You are to construct a device of significant benefit to the Galactic Alliance. You have 1 cycle to complete it." "1 cycle?" Zack asked, his mind reeling. How long even was an alien day? "Your Earth equivalent of 3 weeks, Theta clarified, a hint of impatience in her tone. "All the resources you could need are available, but you must work independently. We expect great things from you, Terran." With that, she was gone, leaving Zack alone with his racing thoughts. A device to benefit the whole galaxy, in just 3 weeks. With alien technology he barely understood, it seemed an impossible task. But he had no choice. The fate of humanity rested on his shoulders. Somehow, someway, this lone human would have to find a way to prove his species' worth, or watch his people perish forever. In Part 3, Zack must grapple with this daunting challenge. Can he muster the ingenuity and grit to create something extraordinary? Or will the vast gulf between human and alien prove too much to overcome? Ingenuity under pressure. Zack paced his workshop, running his hands through his hair in frustration. Around him, alien devices and components lay strewn across the workbenches, a tangle of unfamiliar shapes and glowing conduits. The sheer range of advanced technology was staggering and utterly overwhelming. How could he create something galaxy-changing when he hardly understood how any of this worked? The 3-week deadline loomed over him like a crushing weight. Zack felt the hopes of all humanity pressing down on his shoulders. He couldn't afford to fail. Taking a deep breath, he forced himself to focus. He might not understand everything, but he was an engineer. Problem-solving was his forte. He just needed to break this down, piece by piece. Zack began to sort through the components methodically, testing, analyzing, looking for patterns and possibilities. Slowly, an idea started to take shape. What if he could repurpose this quantum flux regulator, combine it with the neutron splitter, and route it through the dark energy siphon? It was a configuration unlike anything he'd seen the aliens use, but could it work? Hours turned into days as Zack lost himself in his work, barely pausing to eat or sleep. The device began to take shape under his tireless hands, an elegant fusion of disparate parts coming together in a symphony of innovation. Even Zack marveled at the strange beauty of his creation. For the first time, a spark of hope flickered in his chest. But disaster struck without warning. An explosion rocked the workshop, sending Zack flying. Ears ringing, he staggered to his feet amidst the smoke and debris. His device lay in ruins, components scattered and fused. Despair crashed over him. Weeks of work, humanity's last hope, gone in an instant. As the smoke cleared, Zack spotted something amidst the wreckage. A strange symbol scorched into the wall. With a chill, he realized the truth. This was no accident. Someone had deliberately sabotaged his work. But who among the aliens would do such a thing? And why? As Zack grappled with this new threat, one thing became crystal clear. His mission had just become far more complicated than he ever imagined. Can Zack rebuild his device in time, while also navigating the treacherous currents of alien politics? The clock is ticking, and the fate of Earth hangs by a thread. An unlikely alliance. It was sabotage, Zack insisted, pacing in front of Commander Theta. Someone deliberately destroyed my work. Theta frowned, her amber eyes narrowing as she examined the scorch mark on the workshop wall. This is troubling, she admitted. That symbol belongs to the Zephyrian Liberation Front, a radical group opposed to the Galactic Alliance's inclusion of new species. Zack's heart sank. So they're targeting me because I'm human. Theta nodded grimly. It appears so. Many fear the changes your species could bring. Frustration surged through Zack. All his efforts, undone by alien prejudice. So what now? He asked bitterly. I just give up. Let humanity perish because of some extremists. To his surprise, Theta laid a hand on his shoulder. No, she said firmly, I may have my doubts about humanity, but I believe in fairness. You deserve a chance to prove yourself. I will help you complete your device. Zack stared at her, stunned. Why would you help me? Because it's the right thing to do, Theta said simply, and because I'm starting to think your success might be more important than any of us realized. Over the next days, an unlikely partnership bloomed. Theta's knowledge of alien technology was invaluable, accelerating Zack's progress immensely. Her tactical skills also came into play as they worked to stay one step ahead of the saboteurs. But it was more than just a working relationship. In the intense crucible of their mission, a bond began to form. Zack found himself confiding in Theta, sharing stories of Earth, his fears for his people. And Theta, in turn, began to open up about her own world, her doubts about the rigid caste system that ruled Zephyrian society. As they worked, they also uncovered disturbing clues. whispers of a looming crisis that threatened not just humanity, but the entire galactic alliance. Snippets of data about an ancient, malevolent force stirring in the depths of space. "This is bigger than humanity, isn't it?" Zack said one night as they pored over a cryptic data file. Theta nodded solemnly. "I fear so. And I'm starting to believe your device might be the key to stopping it." Zack felt the weight of responsibility settle heavier than ever. But for the first time, he didn't feel alone in bearing it. With Theta by his side, he dared to believe they might just pull off the impossible. But time was running out, and the forces arrayed against them were vast. In Part 5, Zack and Theta will have to risk everything in a desperate race to complete the device and unravel the mystery of the impending apocalypse. The fate of the galaxy itself may hang on the actions of this lone human and the alien ally who dared to believe in him. A galaxy-saving invention. Zack's heart raced as the final piece of the puzzle fell into place in his mind. It was audacious, perhaps impossible, but it was humanity's best hope. No, the galaxy's best hope. A network, he explained breathlessly to Theta. A vast warning system linking every corner of the Alliance, using quantum entanglement to instantly share information, predict threats, coordinate responses, powered by the very cosmic strings that weave the fabric of space-time itself. Theta's eyes widened as she grasped the scale of his vision. Zack, that's genius. But the sheer scope, the exotic matter requirements alone. "I know," Zack said, his voice tight with conviction. "But what choice do we have? If this ancient evil is as powerful as the whispers say, this might be our only chance." Theta held his gaze for a long, charged moment. Then, slowly, she nodded. "All right, let's do this." What followed was a whirlwind of frenzied activity and desperate improvisation. Zack and Theta raced from world to world, gathering exotic components, forging alliances, dodging assassination attempts from the increasingly brazen Zephyrian Liberation Front. On the crystal plains of Elixis, they negotiated with the hive-minded Elixians for a supply of muon resonators. In the seething magma forges of Vulcania, they oversaw the shaping of neutronium conduits, and in the whispering mists of Aetherius, they bargained with the ghostly Etheri for a shard of the very heart of a black hole. Slowly, painstakingly, the device began to take shape. A vast, intricate web of gleaming conduits and pulsing energy, a symphony of bleeding-edge science from a dozen alien civilizations, harmonized by the uniquely human touch of Zack's unorthodox vision. Word of their project began to spread, rippling through the Galactic Alliance. Some hailed Zack as a visionary, a symbol of the potential of the younger races. Others decried him as a dangerous upstart, a hairless ape meddling with forces beyond his ken. But Zack barely noticed the swirling controversy. All his focus, all his energy was poured into his creation, because he knew, with a certainty that blazed in his bones, that this was humanity's moment. This was their chance to prove, once and for all, that they belonged among the stars. As the final component slotted into place, Zack stepped back, his chest heaving with exhaustion and emotion. The device thrummed with barely contained power, a humming song that seemed to resonate with the very pulse of the universe. Theta placed a hand on his shoulder, her eyes shining with a fierce pride. "You did it," she whispered. "I never doubted you for a moment." But even as they savored their triumph, a chill ran up Zack's spine, because he knew that the true test was yet to come. In the final part, all their efforts will be put to the ultimate trial, as an ancient evil stirs and the fate of the galaxy teeters on a knife's edge. And at the center of it all, one human, armed with nothing but his ingenuity, his determination, and the unlikely allies he's made along the way. The human spirit triumphant. Alarm klaxons shattered the stunned silence of the Galactic Alliance's Grand Assembly Hall. On the vast holoscreen, a terrible sight unfolded. A roiling mass of darkness, vaster than 1,000 suns, surging towards the heart of Alliance space. The ancient evil had awakened. In the chaos of panic shouts and terrified whispers, Zack stood firm, his hand hovering over the activation key of his creation. This was the moment of truth. "It's now or never," Theta said softly from beside him. "Are you ready?" Zack took a deep breath, feeling the eyes of the galaxy upon him. So many still doubted. So many still saw humanity as upstarts, as primitives. But he knew, in the core of his being, that they were wrong. Humanity had a gift, a spark of something unique and precious, and he would prove it, here and now. He pressed the key. For a breathless moment, nothing happened. Then, with a thrumming surge of power that shook the very air, the device blazed to life. A web of shimmering energy exploded outwards, enveloping the assembled fleet, the planet, the very stars themselves in a pulsing network of light. And just in time, the ancient evil struck, a tidal wave of entropy and unbeing, only to break apart, shredded by the forewarning pulses of the human-forged shield. Alliance ships, armed with Zack's predictive data, struck with pinpoint precision, unraveling the eldritch horror filament by filament. A cheer went up as the last wisp of darkness dissipated, a resounding cry of victory and relief. But for Zack, the real triumph was the looks on the faces of the assembled aliens as they turned to face him. Awe, respect, even a touch of humility. The realization that this hairless ape, this laughable primitive, had just saved all their vaunted civilizations. In the aftermath, the change was palpable. Emissaries from a dozen worlds approached Zack, offering their gratitude, their respect, their eager overtures of friendship and alliance. The rescue ships that had once ferried a select few now threw open their doors to all. Humanity would take its place among the stars, not as beggars or charity cases, but as equals, as heroes. As Zack watched his fellow humans stream into a future of boundless potential, he felt a hand slip into his. Theta stood beside him, her eyes shining with pride and something deeper. "You did it," she said softly. "You saved us all. And you changed everything." Zack smiled, feeling the weight of history on his shoulders, but also the soaring joy of triumph. "No," he corrected gently. "We did it. Humanity. The Alliance. All of us, together." And as he looked out at the glittering tapestry of the galaxy, Zack knew that this was just the beginning. The human spirit had blazed a trail, lighting the way for a new era of unity, of cooperation, of boundless discovery. The future was bright indeed, and it would be written in the bold strokes of human determination and ingenuity, hand in hand with the wisdom and strength of their alien brethren. A new chapter in the story of the cosmos had begun, and at its heart beat the indomitable pulse of human spirit, unbreakable, unstoppable, undeniable.